thank you so much for making time to come and speak with us.
Nice speak. I hope you had some good impressions of the crowd and the conversation. You're here and obviously following your schedule with South Sudan, Somalia, Kenya. You're talking about the DRC today. How would you characterize the Dutch engagement with Africa, the Dutch idea around trade and aid? Because it seems to me that's a unique combination you have.
It was really very nice to be here and to get in touch with different people than I get in touch with when I'm only at the boardrooms and the meeting rooms. So thank you very much for that opportunity.
No, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
I think the Netherlands has a long-standing relationship with many countries in Africa, and we've been a development partner for decades, one could say. And I think that the sign of the times is that we need to develop a new type of partnership. Looking at Africa, 7 out of 10 fastest growing economies worldwide are in Africa. And as I also mentioned, just growth will not bring prosperity. One needs inclusive growth. Yeah. So in bringing together the perspective of aid and trade, I think that is really catering to where we are at this point in time, where African countries want to engage in the global economy on their own conditions, and rightly so, and where we not only are traders and are looking for entrepreneurial opportunities, but also want to contribute to a free and fair global trading system. And I think those agendas get together very, very nicely. Yeah. I like to be in Africa. I know that one part of Africa is different from another, yes. And Europe is also not one monolithic thing. Africa is also not one monolithic thing, but I do enjoy being here. I was thrilled by the experience that I had in Mogadishu. I told you that I was there on Monday, yes. And we were able to drive from the airport to the presidential palace, and to my amazement, we got stuck in the traffic. Now, everyone who has been following the news on Somalia knows that there has been no traffic for a very long time. So it's actually very good news that we got stuck in the traffic and that we could see the entrepreneurial spirit of Somalian people in the streets of Mogadishu again, and I thought that was very powerful.
No, but they are very entrepreneurial.
Very much so. Yeah.
Can I touch on 2 things which really didn't come, which no one asked you about? Any thoughts on the Al-Shabaab, the Westgate situation? Any context you'd like to put on that?
Yeah, like many other people here, I went there to do some shopping.
Oh, you'd been there?
Yeah, I'd been there, and of course I've been to the movies there, like many of you.
Yes.
And many Kenyan families have been affected, and a Dutch woman has also been killed in the attack. She was 8 months pregnant, which even makes it even more sad than it is. And I think I wish the Kenyan people all the strength that they need to deal with their personal loss, but also with this loss of the feeling that you're secure in all those areas. And I think in many places in the world, we see terrorism has globalized. It is a local issue where locally you have to address it and take your measures, but it's also an issue that concerns all of us at a global level. And I also have to applaud the Kenyan people for everything that they've been doing to stabilize the situation in this region. We're very happy to be able to have been contributing to that in several ways to that too. But again, the Kenyan people have really, they opened their hearts and their borders to the Somalian refugees, and they're now contributing to the stabilization. So I do hope that people manage to overcome their grief that has been caused by this attack.
Thank you. You were talking about the fact that Netherlands is the 3rd biggest export market for Kenya. So you're a big beast in our economy. Yeah. the way you've come to your docket has been via a different route to what most people would have come to, right? I mean, very interesting, and I think probably informs this incredibly refreshing approach that everybody's finding. What do you think you're doing differently to anyone else who would have your job?
Well, of course, one then says, well, it's for others to comment on that, and of course they do, and they should, and I welcome all comments, both critical and supportive, obviously. I do think that, well, I mean, in a political position, you do bring a professional perspective, but you also bring your personal experiences and your beliefs and values and norms to the table. And I very much believe in equal partnerships. And I've been active in the development world for quite some time. I started my career, as you said, as a community outreach worker, but then changed to consultancy. I worked at a consultancy firm, so I know the different perspectives, and I know also from my own background. My parents, they went to primary school and then left to start working because their parents couldn't
Somebody
afford
told me
that.
they were dairy farmers.
Well, my grandparents, were, my father was a milkman, so I come from a background where many more people are coming from, and I do understand what it means to not be affluent, to not have an influential family, to be very much aware of, let me say, how society looks upon you. And then my father and my mother were so kind to give me a lot of self-confidence. And they always told us, myself, my brother, my sister, that you don't have to look up to other people, and you never should look down to other people. And that's why I think my strong feeling about developing equal partnerships comes from. Of course, I do also think they're more effective, but it's so much better to engage on an equal footing, if you would like to call it like that. And I think this portfolio, bringing a traditional aid perspective, a traditional trade perspective together, and making a new perspective out of that, which is about not only free trade but also fair trade, which is about growth but also about empowerment, which is about being inclusive, is about human rights as very strong and universal values. I think that is really new, and that's what I bring to the table, and I do hope that many people are very interested in, as I said, the World Bank is interested, colleagues in Europe are interested. People are also critical, but the interesting thing is that the critics are, and I've traveled extensively, as you mentioned, here in Africa. The critics are not here in Africa.
They're not?
No.
That's interesting.
They're also not in Latin America. They're also not in Asia. They're in Europe, and I think Europe sometimes needs to step out of the traditional frames and understand the signs of the times, because I think that's what politics is about. It's value-driven. It's about strong belief in universality of human rights, and it's also about understanding the signs of the times.
Madam Minister, you've been a champion of women's rights, and I think, in Africa in particular, women are underestimated in their contribution to the economy. A lot of the farming is done by the women. Our women are so entrepreneurial. What is the message you would give to these ladies who are really trying to strive, trying to look after a family, probably challenges that 2 generations ago your parents, your grandparents were experiencing? What are you saying to them?
I would say the first and very important thing to do is to get organized. Your problem is not an individual problem. It's a problem that many more women encounter. Your opportunities are not only your individual opportunities. These are opportunities that all women share. So get organized, talk to other women, team up. The second thing I would say is, don't underestimate what you bring to the table. You have a lot to bring, and you also have different and new things to bring. So don't get discouraged if they want to discard you. The third thing is, I think all of us need to work very hard and very committed to empower, for example, women small-scale farmers. There's evidence that if women get access to the same resources, financial resources, production resources as men, then production increases tremendously.
Right. Yeah. And they don't drink the profits.
That's it. I know that in many contexts, there's many traditional beliefs that hold back women, but that also hold back men, because all of us are sometimes, prisoner of our own tradition, and I think we have to work together to step out of that. The Netherlands is very much involved now in a campaign to abolish child marriages. So it's called Girls Not Brides.
Yes.
The elders, of which Desmond Tutu is, a big champion. The elders, as an organization, are very much involved. They are at the heart of this initiative, and we decided to team up with them because we feel that talking about traditional beliefs, breaking through those barriers, you can only do it together. You can only do it by reaching out to communities. You can only do it by understanding not only the traditional beliefs themselves, but also the dilemmas that parents face when they're impoverished and when they really want to give an opportunity to their girl child too, but that they don't know exactly how to do it. And I think we all have a responsibility to, as I said, get organized, team up, be in solidarity, and sometimes it does take a lot of energy. It does take courage, and it's easy for me to say that it takes courage because it takes courage from a woman farmer here in Naivasha much more than it takes courage for me. But I would like to say to all of them, we're all in this together and we need to work together, and I'm really prepared to speak up and work with you.
Can I leave you with one last question before we go, because I know you're going to Mombasa. You were talking about you didn't believe in trickle down. The economic upswing in Africa is really a recent phenomenon, last 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that in the current way it's happening, trickle down is going to happen quickly enough. So are we rising? Are we at a tipping point? What do we need to do to create more participation amongst our people? I went to England in the 70s when Mrs. Thatcher came to power, and she created this ownership culture. You might disagree with it, but people started to own something, and I thought that was quite transformative. What do we need to do here?
I don't agree with Margaret Thatcher on many issues. So, but let me, I think, as you said, this is a critical time because in order for that growth to be inclusive, one needs to intervene. It does not happen out of itself. And I think many African economies depend largely on their resources, and they don't manage yet to add value to those resources. In adding value, you also create jobs. In adding value, you open up to different sectors of society. In wanting and aspiring to add value, you have to invest in education, which many African governments are doing now with the help of the international community. But, I mean, we've made huge progress there, I would say. So an investment needs to be made there. An investment needs to be made in what I would call an enabling environment, transparent, accountable, democratic institutions, both at a political level, but also in terms of making the environment more entrepreneurial friendly. And I think, as we have to do in Europe, you have to be constantly looking if the structures of your economy do cater to the needs of your people. And that's a huge task. And I must admit, also in my country, we are now making structural reforms that we should have done 10, 15 years ago. But there's also, politically, sometimes it's very difficult to do it. Sometimes you cannot do it by yourself. You have to do it in a regional framework. And I think rising middle classes, as we've been seeing in countries like India, China, Brazil, also here in Africa, that is the most powerful tool for change. Middle classes will stand up, will stand out, will demand their rights, will also demand, they want to contribute to their own society, and they want to feel they owe it. And I think that would be a very powerful dimension to stimulate and to promote and to encourage. It also means that middle classes also rise and raise their voices. And of course, for governments, that's not always easy. But that's what democracy is about, and I'm a true believer of that.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making time to come and speak with us and engaging with us in such a wonderful manner.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
No, it's
Thank you.
a privilege.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.